Well, thanks for tuning in to Stories of Resilience. We have a very special guest, V, joining us here today to share her story. So, V, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Appreciate you making the time to
Thank you.
share your story. We're so
Mhm.
excited to dive in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, we do want to let the audience know that are tuning in that a lot of V's story is focused on SI, or what we would say suicidal ideation. So, if any of you are tuning in and this is a sensitive topic, if you are feeling uncomfortable, maybe you're feeling triggered in any way, we totally understand. If you want to take a step back, you want to pause, maybe you don't want to tune into the episode just at this moment. We really want you to feel safe, comfortable. We want you to feel like feel ready to tune in and to listen to V's story. So before we dive into V's story, we did want to share that so that if you are feeling a certain way, please take care of yourself first. And yeah, we hope that this story and V's story and her sharing about her experiences, her challenges, will really resonate and really impact and provide encouragement and hope to those of you that are listening, as well as those of you that might be going through maybe some similar struggles and challenges. But before we dive in, V, can you share with us a little bit about yourself? Like,
Mhm.
what are you doing right now? What are some of your maybe hobbies,
Mhm.
interests, and yeah, maybe some things to describe you,
Mhm.
V?
Right. So, hi, I'm V, and basically, some of my current hobbies right now are rock climbing, going coffee shop hopping. So,
Ooh,
I love matcha. I'm like every other girl in OC. I love
okay,
matcha. I like thrifting as well.
okay,
I play the guitar a lot,
all
and I
right,
play the piano as well, a little here and there.
okay.
Yeah, but those are my hobbies. Oh, and I recently got into journaling.
Journaling, that is
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
I have to ask you, matcha, what is the best spot?
Oof. Um, I can't name the best spot, but some of my favorites are probably Stereoscope.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, Stereoscope is pretty good. I really like Vivid in Fullerton.
okay.
Yeah. Um, and more like local to here, I like Sip.
Sip, okay,
Yeah, Sip and Brew Story are
okay,
pretty good. Yeah,
okay.
Brew Story has like the best double matcha in my opinion.
Wow.
In my opinion,
Okay.
you have
That
to try the double matcha. Yeah.
I know this is only audio, so you can't see my face, but right now I'm kind of having this confused look because out of the four that you mentioned, I only know of one.
Oh, really? Which
Yeah,
one?
so I know I'm familiar with Stereoscope,
Oh, I see.
um, but the other ones that you mentioned, I was like kind of like, what are these places? I need to go Yelp these after this
Yeah,
recording,
you should.
and I'll have to try this out. What
Hmm.
what was the double shot place?
Brew Story. So it's in Huntington Beach. I'm
Brew
pretty sure.
Story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called their Mama Latte. You get
Okay.
that. My friend put me on. You get that with sea salt on top. It's so good. It's
Yo,
so
this
good.
this sounds. I feel
Yeah.
like wow. Okay,
Hmm.
we need to hit up this Bruce story after this recording.
Yeah.
This sounds
Go for it.
that sounds so good. Double shot matcha.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it's called.
It's like a matcha with like matcha cream on matcha foam on top.
I'm just imagining it.
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
like, this sounds so good. I I,
Hmm.
I might just have to hit it up.
Hmm.
But our lunch is not so long, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh man, I think
Hmm.
that sounds good. Well, thanks for sharing that. Stereoscope, just a interesting story or fact. So a friend of mine,
Hmm.
her best friend or one of her best friends, family member owns Stereoscope. So I was
Oh.
like, yo, I mean, I know the friend,
Hmm.
but I don't know the brother that owns
Yeah.
it. So I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. You know
Yeah,
what I've noticed? Everyone in OC is connected.
I think so.
It's
Yeah.
so scary. It's so
It
scary.
is scary. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is scary because it's like, hey, one person knows somebody, and if you do something, it's like, hey, everyone knows,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
Literally, it's so scary.
but yeah, that's crazy.
Hmm.
Um, V, can you share with us a little bit about what was life like growing up for you?
So actually, I grew up. half of my childhood was in Canada,
Oh,
and
okay.
the other half was here in Orange
Okay.
County. So I moved from Canada when I was 8, and I lived in like Montreal. So I
Mm.
spoke French for like half of my life.
Whoa,
Yeah,
okay.
and then I moved here and I forgot all of it. But then I took high school French, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did it all come back to you?
some of it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't speak for like conversationally like comfortably, but I know I can understand. Hmm.
That
Yeah,
is amazing.
but I think moving like from place to place meant I had to learn to adapt like to new environments really fast,
Right, right.
especially like since I was in third grade when I moved. So
Mm.
like I kind of got used to like a new environment and like meeting new people and having to
Mm.
adjust.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
What was that like for you? I mean, third grade. That's very young.
Hmm.
Coming from Canada to the States, maybe kind of a culture shock. Some different experiences, like you said, having to adapt to new places, new
Hmm.
new settings. What was that like for you? Yeah, even at a young age.
What was it like for me? Well, first of all, when I moved here, my English wasn't that great because
Mm.
like I think in where I grew up, we spoke French first and then they'd teach you English after.
Oh, okay.
But then um I went to like an English speaking church, so it wasn't like that hard for me
Okay.
back in Canada. But
Gotcha.
then I moved here and then it was still like hard because like kids would like make fun of my like
Mm.
French accent,
Mm.
which like
Mm.
I think about it now it's kind of funny like French
Mm.
accent.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And also I feel like people here are like a little bit meaner. Yeah,
Okay.
in California.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
Mm.
I had to get used to that. But
Mm.
other than that, I think I really liked moving to California. I was actually really excited to move
Okay.
because I have family here and
Mm.
it's like a lot warmer
Mm.
because Canada's like very snowy and cold in the
Right.
winter. Hmm.
Right. And when you mentioned having like that French accent, are you speaking English? I'm like, I wish I had an accent when I spoke English. I think it sounds cool.
Actually, yeah, it's really cool. They had no
They
idea.
had no idea.
They
That's
had
what I
no
was just
idea.
thinking. I was like, they have no idea. When you get older, you're like, hey, that's a pretty cool accent. I wish I
Yeah.
kind of had that.
Yeah, but yeah, I wish I could tell younger me that.
um, you kind of mentioned that people in California, at least in your experience, they seemed it was kind of rough, maybe. They're a little bit meaner. I think
Mhm.
that's what you mentioned. Were there any incidences or experiences that you had where you felt that way? Like, oh man, people are not as maybe nice.
Well, I moved here when I was like 8, so I think
Mm,
kids are very like it's hard to tell because they haven't like fully like grown up and like
right, right,
like
right,
kids will be kids.
right, right.
But I feel like it's very clicky here.
Mm,
But again, I didn't go to middle school or high school in Canada, so I wouldn't know
mm, mm, mm,
like
mm.
the difference or
Right,
like the disparity.
right.
But I think people here can be very clicky.
Mm, mm,
Hmm.
mm, mm.
Also, like everyone in Orange County knows each other. It's so scary. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention when I moved here, I was like really shocked by how many Viet people there were.
Mm,
Because back in
yep.
Canada, I'd be like one out of like three Vietnamese kids
Okay.
in my like grade,
Okay.
basically. And
Mm.
then I moved here, and everyone was like Nguyen, Nguyen, Nguyen,
Right,
Tran,
right,
Tran,
right,
Tran. And I
right.
was like, whoa.
I feel like Orange County has the. I might be wrong on this stat, but I think Orange County has the highest population of Vietnamese um, people outside of Vietnam.
Hmm.
So, which is pretty crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
we're in Garden Grove right now.
yeah.
Westminster's right there, so there's definitely a big Vietnamese population in the
Yeah.
community here.
Yeah,
So,
and I really like that. Like,
mm,
because
mm,
I felt, um, fun fact, I used to go by Vivian.
okay.
Yeah, but I go by V now. But I
Mm,
used to go by Vivian because, like, when I lived in Canada, I was like, oh, like, my name is so like Asian, so
mm,
ethnic,
mm,
like it's weird. And then I
mm,
moved here, and I was like, wait,
mm,
like after a while of living here, I switched back to V because I was like, oh, it's not that serious. Like everyone
mm,
here is
mm,
V.
mm. That is cool.
Hmm.
It kind of sounds like. Would you say, I guess, V, when you moved here, there's like a bigger Vietnamese community
Hmm.
that you start to embrace a little bit more of your
Yeah.
kind of culture
Hmm.
and like your
Yeah.
your background.
I learned to embrace my culture a lot more. I felt a
Mm,
lot more connected to it, and I'm like religious too. So I
mm,
go to a Vietnamese like a church with a large Vietnamese community,
Okay.
and that like reinforced that connection to my
Mm-hmm.
culture even
That is
more.
cool.
Hmm.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Hmm.
Um, we kind of want to dive a little bit more into now some of the challenges that you've faced and that you've encountered, especially when it comes to mental health. I know a lot of your story, a lot of the challenges comes from more of a SI, right? Suicidal ideation. Do you mind sharing the when you started to first maybe notice some of the challenges and maybe when you start to feel like, hey, something's a little bit off, something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to preface, I wanted to say that my experience doesn't reflect everyone else's.
Right.
Everyone has a different experience, so I'm
Mm.
not saying this to like be like, oh, this is how it should be. But it's just like one example of many. Yeah. So for me, I don't think I noticed them at all. Like like leading up to like the incident where like I almost like lost or took my own life. I felt like there were no suicidal ideations, but in hindsight, it was more of like ignoring them. Yeah. So it'd be like little ones here and there, like very small like thought bubbles, and then like they would get louder and louder, but then I wouldn't be able to like notice them. So I can't really like tell you how long I've noticed them for, but it's just like throughout like my teenage years, like it's just like here and there, like very small like things that you can brush off as like, oh, like it's just like a small moment, you know. So I feel like I didn't take my SI like seriously, and that's why my mental health like got so bad to the point where I felt like that was the only option left for me. Yeah. So I was like basically like unaware. Yeah, running away from it.
Right. Were there things that would trigger some of those thoughts, or were there things that would cause you to feel a certain way? You kind of talked about small bubbles of thoughts. Were there events that would trigger those small bubble of thoughts, or would it just kind of come out like, yeah?
So I think like even the smallest inconveniences like would lead me to be like, oh, like, or I think this is very common within like the teenage like population or our generation today, is to be like, oh, like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill myself like at every little like small inconvenience. And I think I'm part of the problem too. Like sometimes I catch myself saying it, my friends say it, it's like it's considered to be like a joke, like not to be taken seriously. But I think that the more we say it, the more it becomes normalized. And I don't think, well, I think it should be normalized in a way where we accept everyone's experiences with SI, but not in a way where it's like, oh, this should be normal, like this should be happening, because obviously nobody should have to go through this. Nobody should have to like have like suicidal ideations. But I think from minor inconveniences to like maybe like I think more specifically to my experience, like trouble with family. Yeah. So I think a lot of like adolescents struggle with like dealing with family issues, and that because your family is supposed to be your safe like space, like where you like your number one like support beam. But when you feel like you don't really have that to rely on, it's easy to like feel like, oh, there's no hope left. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be because your family is making you feel that way or they want you to like have SI. It's just like the way that you internalize like all the conflict and all the interactions.
Right.
Yeah. Because obviously like I feel, or for me specifically, I know that my family still loves me, but it's just that like having to face conflict and not knowing how to like cope with it, it made me really susceptible to like having those SI lead up to something even more dangerous.
Right. You kind of mentioned about family conflict, and some of those moments you're internalizing, not maybe being aware, not knowing how to address it or cope with those, I guess, those conflicts. Do you mind me asking, like, what were those conflicts? Was it, between you and your family members, or what was it that you were experiencing within family that was maybe yeah, just contributing to you feeling or thinking a certain way.
Yeah, so I feel like for me it was feeling restrained.
Mm.
And my family and I, we disagreed a lot about like the life choices
Mm.
I was making, which I think is very common in
Mm.
most Asian American families.
Right.
The kid wants to do something, wants more freedom, and
Mm.
then they're too young or they're not mature enough to
Mm.
handle that, and then the family tries to tell them that, and then they don't listen. So I
Mm.
think that was the case for me. And even though like I feel like I had the right most of the time to feel that way, I think it's also really helpful to, when experiencing conflicts with your family, to kind of like have more empathy. And that's something
Mm.
that I learned like over the years. Because when you have more empathy for others, you start to have more empathy for yourself.
Mm.
And I think that helps a lot with SI, if that makes sense.
Mm. Mm.
Like, for example, like if you're having a fight with your parents, like I think it's really helpful to take a moment and just think about how they feel, because it's their first time living too.
Mm.
And like that's low key like really annoying to hear, because I've been there, like having to hear
Mm.
like, oh, it's your parents' first time being a parent, it's your parents' first time living. Okay, well, it's my first time living too. Like I
Mm.
deserve to be understood and heard.
Mm.
But if everyone keeps thinking that way in the family, it's not gonna go anywhere. I think it's all
Mm.
about compromise. And
Mm.
my parents and I, we've that's something that we learned
Mm.
over the past few years.
Mm.
And they've been like a big part of my journey with like SI, and they've been really
Mm.
helpful, even though like I would say we clash a lot, but it's not because they have, again, it's not because they have like bad intentions.
Right. Right.
It's just like culture shock,
Right.
disagreement, and learning how to like understand that at the end of the day it's just love that gets
Right.
us like going.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. From what you just shared right now, V, there's two thoughts that came to mind for me. One was, man, there's just a sense of maturity. I feel like when you're able to think about, not only do you want to, in a way, like want people to understand your situation, but also trying to see from the other person's perspective. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned about your parents and having empathy towards your parents.
Hmm.
Like I feel like sometimes that's really hard to do, even
Hmm.
at especially at a young age. But there's that sense of maturity. I feel like that you are showing when you're able to say, "Hey, I want to see from I want to be able to understand from their perspective. This is their first time
Hmm.
parenting as well." So I do want to highlight that, and I just again just get that sense of maturity from you, and
Hmm.
that's so good to see. I love how you mentioned like there's that cycle. If we're always thinking that way about just ourselves, then it just becomes an unending cycle,
Hmm.
right? But if we're able to empathize with each other, try to understand each other, see each other's perspectives,
Hmm.
like that would maybe help kind of
Hmm.
bring about some resolution, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Another thing I wanted to kind of ask about is you talked about how your family was such a huge support to you. I mean, when we work with, when I talk with other people, 50-50, I feel like family, it's challenging. They don't know how to address, or they don't know how to get involved with somebody's life when they're dealing with mental health challenges.
Hmm.
On the other side, family, they may not know, but they try to help and
Hmm.
try to be supportive. It seems like in your situation, your family was a big part in trying to provide that support. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how your family was supportive during this journey with you?
Yeah. Oh, first I wanted to address the empathy thing. Um, Although I think it's really important to have empathy, I also understand that like everyone's family circumstances are different, and some people come from like
Mm,
really abusive families,
right,
and I think that's like a totally completely different
right,
story.
right,
So
right.
yeah, take that with a grain of salt, but also that's my experience.
Mm,
And then for the support bit, my family, or my parents, because it's just me and my parents.
mm,
My parents were the ones that like first like saved me, or like they basically, in a way, they saved my life. Actually, not in
mm,
a way, they actually saved my life,
mm,
because of my attempt. So I think like all that already is like huge involvement in like
mm,
the whole like suicidal ideation suicide thing.
mm, mm,
And I think for them, like it was very traumatizing.
mm,
um, Probably like more for them than for me. I'm not like
mm,
invalidating myself. It's just like it's really difficult to see your child
mm,
like
mm,
in that state.
right.
Um, so I'm really thankful for them for that. And then like after the whole incident happened, they were very, very supportive. They were connecting me with um, like my doctor, or I mean, it was like mandated, but
Mm,
like they were very helpful in like connecting me with doctors and like professionals, and also like members and family friends that would
mm,
like be there for me,
mm,
because for most of like my whole like journey with suicidal ideation, I felt very alone and isolated, because
mm,
it's a very, even in like 2025,
mm.
2024, yeah, it's very taboo. Like people don't talk about it, even though it's really common.
Right.
So it just made me feel crazy. Like I felt
Mm,
very alone. But then, like connecting me with like close family friends, family members, that was really helpful, because sometimes they don't really know what to say. They don't
mm,
really know how to be helpful, but they'll put in the effort. And I
mm.
think for me, effort is all that matters.
Right.
Um, yeah. And also, because prior to the incident and during like my whole like suicidal ideation like episode, which was like around like beginning of senior year,
Mm,
we were having a lot of conflict. um, so I think like afterwards we learned to forgive each other
mm,
for a lot of the hurtful things we said and like
mm,
the things that took place. And I think that's really important. Like forgiveness is something that we talk about all the time, but I don't think people take it seriously. And I think it's a lot harder
mm,
said than done. I think forgiveness takes a lot more strength than like many other things in
mm,
life, because you have to get over like your ego. You have to
mm,
get over like the hurt and the pain they caused you, and you have to forgive them for something that they did to you. Like that
mm,
sounds like you're taking on their responsibility. Like, oh, like
mm,
why don't you just like do better? Why do I have to
mm,
forgive you?
mm,
But in a sense, I think forgiveness is like a form of self-love.
mm.
um I think it's the greatest form of self-love, because you love yourself so much that you're choosing to forgive others in order to alleviate like all, or somehow somewhat alleviate the pain that they've caused you.
Mm,
um and yeah, it kind of
mm,
shifts like the focus from them to you. And I think when I do that, it's really helpful, and it
mm,
helps me like um basically feel less affected by others' actions, even
mm.
including like families, like
Right,
family members.
right. I love the fact that you brought up forgiveness, because during our initial kind of conversation in our
Mm-hmm.
meeting, you did bring up like, hey, forgiveness is like a form of self love.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioned, I was like, that's so good. That's such a good like word, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And like you mentioned, I feel like forgiveness is hard. It's
It's hard.
difficult,
It's so
you
hard.
know. Like
Mm-hmm.
you've been hurt, people have been offended. Somebody has done something to you. To forgive somebody, I feel like would be to say, hey, like, yeah, maybe it's not okay what you did, but I'm not going to hold that against you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, how did you find the strength? How did you find, I guess, the ability to forgive?
Mm, I would say, well, first of all, before, or like when I first started like therapy here
Mm,
at Okapica, something that I felt like I struggled with a lot was anger issues. Like I
mm,
was a very angry person. I think everyone is angry, but like particularly like at that moment in my life, I was so angry. Like everything would piss me off,
mm,
and it was really hard for me to like forgive people. And it felt like everyone was out to get me. Like I was just very angry with the world,
mm,
including like my family, and other people in my life. And then I realized that the only person that's affected by that anger is me. Like
mm,
I'm not helping myself by being angry all the time and like for holding resentment against people for what they
mm,
did. Like let's say like somebody hurts you and then they move on with their life. That's like
mm,
that was like 3 seconds of their life maybe. But then
mm,
you're holding the anger and the pain and the resentment that they've caused you
mm.
with with you like
Right,
for a much longer amount of time.
right.
And at the end of the day, like the only person who can fix that is yourself.
Mm,
Like you're the one in control of like how you internalize things that happen to you. You're the one in control of your emotions. And as much as it sounds like you're in control, like actually like it's actually really hard to control your emotions.
Mm,
So that's something to keep in mind as well. So because of like therapy and other resources, and like coping mechanisms, I've learned how to basically um, regulate those emotions. And the
mm,
more I learned to like take a moment, pause, and like reflect on myself, reflect on my emotions, regulate them, it became more and more easy to
mm,
like let go of like the hurt and the resentment that comes with um, the anger that I was
mm,
experiencing towards people, and that made it a lot easier to forgive them.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. I think that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that,
Mm-hmm.
um, about that season, that portion of your life. You know, I'm kind of curious, V. You mentioned how when kind of it seemed like the highest peak was start of your senior year when you
Yeah.
were experiencing, maybe the most challenge and you're getting to that point. I'm kind of curious. I guess two-part question. One is, were there other things in during your teenage years that you were maybe experiencing that was a challenge for you,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe have again just contributed or was a factor in leading up to that point?
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And secondly, um, when you were around your peers, maybe during high school, I can only imagine there's others that might be going through maybe some similar struggles,
Mm-hmm.
similar challenges, dealing with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think were some of the reasons and factors of why they were maybe experiencing and facing those challenges?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, um, I don't. I'm not quite sure if these things led up to like suicidal
Mm-hmm,
ideations,
mm-hmm.
but I think they definitely affected my mental health,
Right,
and
right,
that's gonna lead somewhere.
right, right.
So growing up, I found out like in like sixth grade that I like liked girls.
Mm,
Yeah. Um, and it was really hard for me to come to terms with on my own.
mm,
And then when I did come to terms with it, I was pretty like proud of myself. You know, like
mm,
I was like in sixth grade, like
mm,
yes, like I found a new part of my identity. Like that's pretty
mm,
exciting.
mm,
But then like um, I would have like family members tell me that oh like because they found out
mm,
in like some way or another, and then they told me to basically like shove that part of myself
mm,
like to the back, and like as much as it sucks, like that got to me,
mm,
and so I basically came out and then went back in the closet
mm,
um, in middle school, and then I basically had to live like that until like I graduated high school.
mm,
And a lot of it is like internal like mental stuff. Like you're just telling yourself these things like oh like people are gonna like judge you, people are gonna
mm,
treat you differently. Like obviously it's like the 21st century,
mm,
so it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I think me and like a few of my other queer friends like we've experienced the same thing where
mm,
we know it's a lot more like widely accepted, but just like when we interact with peers and they make like small comments or like you know like very like micro
right.
like it's really hard to notice, but you can feel it, and it
Mm,
makes you feel like alienated, it
mm,
makes you feel like kind of gross.
mm,
And so I like did not talk about my sexuality like openly to like the public, maybe to like close friends,
mm,
for a long time. And I think it made me feel like I was like becoming someone that I'm not.
mm,
Yeah, especially like in high school because I think I had a very large amount of friends.
mm,
I was very involved with like my student body. So even though I was like surrounded with by a lot of people and I felt like I wasn't really alone, like at the end of the day, like it still felt pretty isolating
mm,
because they weren't really getting to know the real like
mm,
me that I wanted them to get to know. But then having like family like constantly tell you like oh like it's not safe for you to be out, you shouldn't like announce it to the world, it's
mm,
not safe. Like it was mainly a safety concern for them. Like it
mm,
wasn't like them being like I wouldn't say homophobic, but you know like genuine concern, and because of that, like I would just like be more and more scared to be myself. But then after I graduated high school, um, I don't know, something just clicked in me. I was just like, bro, literally, who cares? Yeah, who cares?
Right.
Yeah, I think thinking, who cares has helped me a lot in recent years. Um, like, yeah, people are going to judge you regardless, um, but it's up to you to like choose to listen to them or to let it affect you. Yeah. And then, oh yeah, second part of the question. You asked about like what do you think other people, like why other people experience like SI, right?
Well, not just SI, but like you said, like mental health
Oh
challenges.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Um, I think my high school in particular, we're not like the most competitive, but like I think we're pretty competitive. Um, I really liked my high school, but I think a lot of the kids were doing too much. And that's not their fault. It's like the system's fault. Like, I mean, they try to implement like different like mental health resources at school, but at the end of the day, like, um, it still gets really like competitive and hectic, and people will like base their entire self on how well they perform academically or if they're better than others. And I don't think that's a healthy environment to learn in. I think education is all about like um, growth and like connecting with others and growing as a community. And if we don't have that sense of community, like what's the point of learning? Like it's so difficult to want to learn, because I love learning, I love education, but I think like especially like towards the end of high school, beginning of college, like um it felt more like a competition or like something I had to do instead of something that I want to do because I want to learn more about my environment or about like the human body. Like it just felt more like a chore.
Right.
So I think that was one of the issues. And also, as I mentioned before, like my school and a lot of schools do make an effort to like establish mental health resources on campus available to students, which is great. I think it's a really good step forward. But in terms of like SI and like the more like taboo, I'm doing air quotes right now, by the way, taboo subjects, um, like like that, it gets shoved like under the carpet. Um, there was this one incident at school. Honestly, like I don't know if this is like what I'm saying is 100% accurate because it's like all like word of mouth, but this is what was being shared among like students. Um, like somebody like took their own life. I don't remember what year, but the students organized like a whole thing for that individual that involved like putting up like posters or something. And then the school took it down, and they never addressed it. But then I mean, I know there's a bunch of like liability concerns and like policy or whatnot, but it just felt very like the way it was all shoved under the carpet.
Right.
So I think that even though it's hard to talk about and it's very triggering, like suicidal ideation should be talked about more and should be more normalized, and not like the more we shove it under the carpet, the more it's going to be treated as taboo, and then people are going to feel more scared and crazier to talk about it because they're going to feel, and then they're going to feel more alone.
Right.
And that's probably like one of the biggest like factors that played into me like feeling like that was the only option I had left.
Right. Right. Oh man, I feel like there's so much you can unpack there, you know, from what you shared. I'm like, oh man, is V going towards education, you know, going towards education field and career? Maybe she, I don't know, right? I don't know what your dreams and futures are. Maybe we'll get to that towards the end of the episode. But man, when I hear about even young kids and like the schoolwork, the extracurricular, all the things that they're involved in, like man, it's just a packed schedule. They're so busy. They have a lot to do. I've heard some of my friends' kids having to do even homework until like 11 at night, or something's due like before, you know, midnight, and I'm like, yo, that's a lot. You know, it's a lot of pressure.
It's like yeah, like that's what we have to do in order to like get into colleges and stuff. But like,
Mm,
why? I feel like I'm questioning like a really big institution right now.
mm,
But like, I don't know. It just feels so OD. Like, why are we
mm,
doing all of this? We're throwing away our teenage years. Like a lot of my
mm,
friends, like they would literally not sleep, and then they would something that I also have a problem with is that like there's volunteer work, which is good. I love volunteer
mm.
work, but 90% of the students that I talked to, like they were just doing it for like the hours and like for like college, and it feels
Right,
so like inhumane.
right.
Like, oh yeah, like I'm feeding the poor. Oh, but it's just
Mm,
for this reason, which
mm,
is kind of like controversial in itself because I know that like most good deeds
mm,
come out of like a place of selfishness,
mm.
but still like I don't know. I feel like everything is just so watered down. Like you're expected to do all these extracurriculars, all of these assignments, and perform your very best. Oh, but by the way, take care of your mental health. But like, who has time for that? Because you guys are the ones that are making us like do all this work.
Mm,
Oh, but don't forget, it's your responsibility to take care of your mental health. Like,
mm.
you know what I mean?
I feel like that's such a good point.
Yeah, it's so
That's such a good point.
performative.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
like the doing like all the like the work in order to get into colleges feels performative, and also like
mm,
the mental health awareness that a lot of like educational institutions like put
right.
out feel very performative as well. Hmm.
Mm. Man, I think this is such a good point. I don't have the expertise and the knowledge to kind of get into it. But I remember not to I guess share my age, but I
Hmm.
remember growing up like we didn't have any of these mental health
Hmm.
resources or fairs and things like that. But we're
Hmm.
going out there now and tabling and providing all these resources, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is so good that this is available,
Yeah.
but at the same time I totally see the point of like, man, but they're so bombarded with so much,
Hmm.
and it's like, hey, here's something to kind of take care of your mental health while you're having to
Yeah.
perform,
Yeah.
right? So I
Again,
can
like,
definitely
oh yeah,
see.
sorry, good.
Yeah, no, go
Yeah.
ahead, V.
Yeah, again, like I think it's wonderful that we have
Mm,
all of these like resources. I think it's also like a recent development. Like I think like 15
mm,
years ago we wouldn't have these. So
right.
I think it's amazing that we have these available to
Mm,
students and that people are able to access them freely.
mm,
Um, but I think it's a lot of the time, even though like it is beneficial for the most part, sometimes it can feel like slapping a band-aid on top of like a really
mm.
big injury,
All right, right, right,
which is not okay. Like
right,
at the end of the day, we should be focusing on the problem itself
right,
too,
right.
and seeing like how we can fix it,
Yep,
like the bigger problem, instead of just like being like, oh, like here's some breathing exercises,
right,
or like here's some flyers like
right,
from campus.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And schools were like way more competitive than they were 15 years ago, which is
Yep.
crazy.
Yes.
Yep.
It gets even worse. Like I know like the grade below mine that just recently, because I'm a freshman, so they're like insane. They're like 10 times more insane than I was, and it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's just been the case too. Like us growing up, like, yeah, we had homework, but in a way, I felt like we could be kids. We have time to go out and hang out in the neighborhood. We had time to
Hmm.
go out and play some basketball or hang out with our friends. But I feel like a lot of times, one of the common stories I hear is like, no, I got to go home and got to get my schoolwork done. Hey,
Hmm.
I have a test this week. I have a test every week, or I have to get this assignment in before midnight. So we got to go home,
Hmm.
get it done while I'm also doing my extracurricular stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like, like I just want kids to be kids.
Yeah.
Like, hey, for them to, yes, like academics, being studious, it is important. It could be helpful, beneficial if that's the route that you're taking for higher
Hmm.
education. But at the same time, I'm like, oh man, like I wish they can also have the childhood of
Hmm.
like spending time with their friends, hanging out,
Yeah.
and not being so stressed out.
Hmm.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
V, we've been talking about schools, right? We've been talking about kind of how students are overwhelmed, but we also talked about access to support, mental health resources, and things that might be helpful. You kind of mentioned about you receiving services, seeking therapy. I would love to kind of hear what helped you. You mentioned, we won't get into it, but you mentioned that there was an attempt. Um, but what helped you stay resilient after that? What helped you to focus on your mental health your well-being, um, yeah, even your wholeness. What's helped you to stay resilient?
Mm, well, I okay. I think that ever since, like, of course, I started therapy here at Ocapica, so that
Mm,
was like very helpful. But ever since then, um, I've learned to address my emotions
mm,
rather than like shove them aside, because I think I would have to do that for like the majority of my life,
mm,
in order to like get on with school,
right,
like
right.
um, or like survive in a social setting.
Mm,
So I feel like a lot of it was just like learning to like face my emotions and like accept them,
mm,
because I don't think we should be treating like our anger or our depression or our sadness as like our
mm,
enemy, but more of like a friend that needs to be comforted.
mm,
um and that's kind of like, it mirrors the idea of being more empathetic towards yourself,
mm,
because like I learned that at the end of the day, like i'm I'm a human. um that sounds so cliche,
mm,
but yes, I am a human and I'm going to experience these really negative emotions.
mm,
But then what happens after? Like, how do I,
mm,
like, once I've accepted, like, what do I do now? So something that really stuck with me from being in therapy was learning how to use different like coping mechanisms
mm,
in order to like de-stress, or
mm,
like um, I guess like take the emotion down to like a lower level,
mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also I also learned this thing called like riding the wave.
Mm.
Does that sound familiar? Like where
Yeah.
you like get like a really like big urge, and then you
Mm,
like you don't act upon it, but then you wait for it to like kind of simmer down.
right.
And I think that's been helpful for me because
Mm,
I have very, very impulsive tendencies.
mm,
Like I'm a very spontaneous person in terms
mm,
of like hanging out with my friends or making plans or whatever. But that also like means I'm very impulsive and I
mm,
make very rash decisions.
mm,
And I think that was also like a factor that played into like
mm,
my attempt. Because for me personally, like it wasn't just like, oh, like I'm so depressed,
mm,
like what is the point of life anymore? But I think it was just like 1 second I was okay,
mm,
and then the next second I was like not. Like it was very
mm,
like spur of the moment kind of
right.
thing, and I made a very impulsive decision to deal with that feeling. um and learning to ride the wave and kind of just like sit with that feeling, with that urge, um it helped me a lot with like
Mm,
my SI,
mm,
because then you get the SI and then you kind of just sit there and you like you accept that you're feeling that way,
mm,
but then the more you sit with it, the more rational your thinking becomes.
mm,
So, and it sounds very simple, but I think riding the wave is a lot it's a lot harder than it
mm,
sounds, because emotions are intense, and people want to act on emotions. Like, I think that's how we're conditioned to behave.
mm,
So it takes a lot to just sit there and let the emotion take over us and then slowly like simmer down.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that's really helpful. Um,
I don't know. I just want to say, I feel like you're so good at explaining and like educating
oh,
people.
really?
Yeah, I'm like, man, V, like, are you thinking of going into counseling or psychology for your future? I'm like, I don't know. This is my personal thought. I gotta say, because I'm not a therapist. I'm a program coordinator here. But just kind of hearing you share and just talking about even riding the wave as being one of the coping mechanism, just the way that you're sharing, I'm like, man, I think, I don't know. Personally, I just had that thought, like,
Oh,
oh
thank
man,
you.
if
I
V
appreciate it.
gonna go into counseling, I think it should be great.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'll like write your name down for my reference in the future type.
I don't know, V, if my name is gonna carry you anywhere.
I'm just
You're gonna be
joking.
like, who is this guy? This is your reference? Like, I don't know about that. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're so good.
I was just sitting here. I was like, oh, you're so great at sharing and explaining. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think like that's like my main goal with coming on this podcast, not to just share, but kind of like help others too, because um like recently I had to deal with like the the death of a friend who also like
Mm,
passed away because of suicide. And
mm,
I've also talked to like a lot of other friends, and like so many of my friends experience SI or have
mm.
like dealt with like, you know, like attempts or
Right,
whatnot. I'm not gonna go
right,
into it because it's their experience,
right.
but I think it's just it's so like it's so important to address it. And
Mm,
I may not know exactly how because again, everyone's experience is different. But
mm,
I think just like talking about it um, is something that I want to do in order to help others. And I think if everyone um, felt more comfortable like sharing about the emotions that come with dealing with SI, it becomes less of like a taboo, like almost criminalized subject, and it's more like it's safer to talk about. If that makes sense.
definitely. I think so. I think because I know you mentioned before, instead of you're internalizing a lot of
Mhm.
your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, or even your identity, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like maybe bringing it out, talking about it would definitely help um, to maybe process of why someone might be feeling or thinking a certain way, right? So
Mhm.
I'm in agreement with you where bringing it out and talking about it could definitely be helpful. Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. Um, what would you say to somebody who might be tuning in right now,
Mhm.
and maybe they're going through a mental health challenge, different mental health challenge, or they might be going through something that you have gone through, um, facing SI, right?
Mhm.
What is something that you would want to share with them? What is something that you would want to encourage them in? Yeah, what's a word of encouragement that you would want to say to them right now?
Mm. Healing is not linear. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
we've talked about this in the
yeah,
past.
yeah.
It just came to me right now. I think when it came to like dealing with SI and other mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
um, I expected it to be very like linear, like
Mm-hmm.
oh, like I'm gonna be okay eventually, and then I'm gonna keep being okay, but that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when people are faced with the reality that healing is not linear, it tends to make them lose hope because they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like I just put in this effort to heal, like I just put in this effort to do better.
Right.
That's like that doesn't mean that you're gonna be okay forever. You're gonna encounter more like episodes where you feel like you're down in the dumps,
Right.
or like bad things are gonna happen to you. Like you're like life is not easy. Like you're
Mm.
going to encounter a bunch of like conflict or like setbacks,
Mm.
um, and like once you come to terms with the fact that oh like you're gonna have to do this healing process over and over and
Mm.
over and again and pick yourself back up, like that's when I think you can become more mentally strong,
Mm.
to like accept that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that line. Now that you mentioned it, I remember you mentioning
Yeah.
that in our initial meeting. You said that healing is not linear. I was like, that is so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. It's almost like when you're talking to someone who's dealing with addiction
Mm-hmm.
and recovery, and for some, part of the recovery process is relapse.
Yeah.
Right? Some people in recovery, if they relapse, they feel like, oh man, I failed. Like this is it. This is it for me. There's no hope for me. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we understand relapse as that's part of the process of recovery.
Yeah.
So you
Mm-hmm.
accept that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love how you mentioned that it's not linear. You're gonna have bad days.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you get help and you learn, some of these coping mechanisms and these skills doesn't mean that you're not going to deal with it again.
Yeah.
It could come up,
Yeah.
but now maybe you might be a little bit more equipped
Mm-hmm.
to kind of address it and deal with that.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that like mental health awareness and like therapy and stuff, it's not supposed to make your depression go away.
Mm.
Like, I mean, yeah, in a way, but like it's more geared towards like equipping, like as you said, like
Mm.
equipping you with the necessary tools for next time that
Mm.
you feel really depressed to like be able to better deal with it.
Right. Right.
Um, and I think it's a really smart way of seeing it because it's not just like taking a pill and then you're not sick anymore, you know, like
Mm. Mm-mm.
it's a lot more complex than that.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a friend, family member that's tuning in, and they have somebody, a loved one, who
Mm-hmm.
might be going through similar challenges, might be dealing with SI. What is something that you would want to encourage them in? What is something that you would want to share with them?
Mm, I would probably encourage them to not treat the individual that is dealing with those SI and like mental health issues,
Mm,
to not treat them like some like sick, crazy patient,
mm,
and to not shame them
mm,
for feeling that way, because shame is only gonna make it worse.
mm,
Um, and for me personally, like something that really like made it worse for me was when other people would like add more weight to the problem by being like, oh, like, why are you being so selfish? Like, you're only thinking about yourself. Like, what about all your
mm,
friends and family?
mm,
Like, you don't care about them. Like, you just want to leave them.
mm,
And that's totally wrong. That's
mm,
so wrong. Like, when somebody is experiencing suicidal ideations and like all that stuff, they're not thinking like, oh, like I literally don't care about my family. I don't care about my friends. Like, this is all about me. Like, I only care what I want right now.
mm,
In a way, it is a bit selfish, but that's not because they're actually selfish. It's because they're experiencing like all of these feelings, all of these thoughts that are like compressing them into a corner where they feel like there's no way out.
mm,
Yeah. So like, please don't um, like criminalize,
mm,
I guess, or put more blame on that individual's shoulders, because like as much as it feels like they don't care about anything other than like the suicidal ideations that they're experiencing, like it's a lot the picture is a lot bigger than that.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
if that makes sense. I say that a lot. It's because I feel like I'm like my head is like a puzzle and I'm putting it all
mm,
together and
mm.
explaining it to you.
It was very very clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you're sharing, and I think that's so good. V, there's so many good points. I think there's so many great things that you shared. As you were sharing, one thought that came to mind was, I'm so glad that V is here today to be able to share her story of resilience, having gone through what you've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
um, and being present here with us to highlight your story so that it can encourage others
Mm-hmm.
who might be going through some similar challenges, concerns, and difficulties. And so I'm so happy that you're here with us today
Mm-hmm.
to be able to share your story.
Yeah.
And I know that what you've shared today is going to impact someone's life. It is going to bring encouragement. It is going to provide hope and empowerment. Maybe it's going to provide some education to people that may not know how to help somebody who might be going through some similar
Mm-hmm.
challenges.
Yeah.
So I think what you shared, and so much of what you shared, some of your mic drops, some of your the things that you've mentioned, I'm like, that's so good. Healing is
Yeah.
not linear,
Yeah.
right? And how forgiveness is a form of self-love.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about some of the quote unquote negative emotions, like they're not like bad emotions. It's just emotions that need to be taken care of. Right? Just the way that you phrase things, the way that you perceive things. It was like, I think it's so amazing,
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
so I want to thank you so much,
Mm-hmm.
V, for sharing your story with us today,
Mm-hmm.
and for being bold, being courageous, being resilient, and again, just sharing your life with others
Mm-hmm.
so that
Yeah.
they can feel supported.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I was like I don't think I have like enough expertise to provide like all the tips and tricks, or like I don't think there's a guideline for it, but I
Mm.
think like even if you can relate a little bit, then that's good, because then you'll feel less alone. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. Thank you so much, V.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We really hope that those of you that are tuning in, that V's story resonates with you. And we also hope that it provides encouragement, hope, and empowerment to all of you that are listening in, and especially for those that might be facing similar challenges. If you're in need of help, you're in need of support, please reach out. Reach out to Okapica, reach out to any other agency. If you're a student at school, reach out to your school, your wellness center. Get the support, get the help. I love what V shared. Don't try to internalize it and deal with it on your own, but maybe talk about it, bring it out, talk about it with somebody. We really hope that you can find the help and the support that you need to help you through your season of life. Thank you so much, Fee, for being here with us, and thank you all for tuning in. We hope you have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Cool.